Whoa. Hello, welcome back to the channel. Let's do some seed sowing for winter. Autumn, winter, flies. Anyway, before that, let's discuss how you sow seeds, or in what, I should say, you sow seeds. I've got a greenhouse, which is good for keeping that temperature a bit warmer, which is much needed for seed sowing, especially if you're coming out of winter. Not so much when you're going into autumn, because the weather's obviously a little bit warmer as it is. But if you don't have a greenhouse, these little mini greenhouses are great. You can usually get them from your local nursery, and they usually come with a tray. But that's what I wanted to speak about, is these trays. It's probably something that I don't love about the gardening horticultural industry, is the amount of plastic that is used, especially in seed sowing or pots in general. They always seem to be plastic. I'd love for them to start looking at alternatives. So what I try to do is keep these as long as I can. I've had these for a few years. You can see they're a little bit dirty. I give them a rinse out, but I like to reuse them as much as possible until they start to sort of fall apart, and then I'll throw them away, just to reduce the amount of plastic that I am using. And if I ever use or buy seedlings, I like to keep the little seedling trays that they come in from the nursery, and reuse those as well as much as possible. I've also used these, which are kind of cool, which are made of silicone, so they're infinitely reusable. They don't break down like plastic does. The only thing is, it's like 2 of these was like 20 bucks, which is expensive, ridiculous. But you can make your own pots. You can make your own little paper ones, which I've used before, the little paper pot maker. But I'm just gonna sow in these old plastic ones today. So put that to the side. Here is one I have prepared earlier. So sowing, I like to get a good quality seed sowing mix, which is good because it's finer. It doesn't have the bigger, chunkier bits of bark and material in it. So you've got more likelihood of the seeds actually making contact with the soil. And I've also added some perlite, that's the white stuff, perlite, to the mix, which helps with moisture retention. So this is my little tray. I've just given the soil a little spray just to moisten the soil a little bit, to help the seeds stick to it so they don't blow away. Then I've got my little labels. These plastic ones are pretty good. You can reuse them. But also like paddle pop sticks, you know, yeah, ice lolly sticks, they're good as well. Well, not from ice lollies, but you can just buy packets of those because they're wooden and they break down natural. So we'll start with the rocket. You can sow lettuces directly, but you can also sow them in punnets as well, or trays I should say. Yeah, tiny little seeds. I just sprinkle a few into each cell. Let's use the last of them. And I've got another lettuce, a mini cos lettuce. This one I just got. lettuce mixes are always good for the cooler season because the lettuce doesn't like it when it's too hot. Or salad mix, I should say. Tiny seeds. Don't need that many. Jeez. I'll just sprinkle a few on there as well, each little cell. What else? I'm gonna grow leek. I love your leeks. Alliums, all your alliums for the cooler season. So your leeks and your onions and garlics. I need to buy some garlic bulbs still. I haven't got around to that yet. I'm gonna grow like a big, like an elephant one, which is not technically garlic. It's closer to a leek, I think, related closer to a leek than a garlic. Kohlrabi. Don't know if you've ever grown kohlrabi before, but they look a bit like, what are the things you get? What's Harry Potter? Oh, I'm having a mental blank. The mandrake. Mandrakes from Harry Potter. That's what they look like. They've got a big bulbous base that you eat, and then it's got the little leaves coming off the top. I'd never seen them before until I was part of a community garden, and one of the other members of the community garden was growing them. I was like, what is that? So, give them a go. Just maybe sow a couple. I like to sow a couple of seeds in each cell, which gives you more chance of germination. So if at least one germinates, then you've had success. And then you can, if you're really good, you can separate them and then grow them both, or if you want, you can just pull out the weaker one and then just let the strongest seedling survive. Survival of the fittest. And sweet peas. I love sweet peas in the winter garden because they smell amazing and they climb, so they'll climb up the arbors. Good little picking. Good picking flowers. Sweet peas are not edible, just for the flowers. Just sow one in each of those. They're a bit bigger. That's Alberta Red, and I'm doing a mixed sweet pea as well. So it'll be a surprise what's in there. I can open it. Just do one in each as well. We got the bigger pea-like seeds. So that's my tray. Give it a spray, get the seeds a little bit wet, and then I'm going to just sprinkle some mix on top of each one, just to make sure they're just a little bit covered. Some seeds don't need to be covered at all, but I just like to sprinkle a little bit. I'll put these in a nice sunny spot, and hopefully in a couple of weeks they will germinate. And then I'll grow them on so they're a little bit bigger, a few inches tall, before I plant them out into the garden. This is not everything, this is just a selection that I've decided to sow today. I've still got a few other things that I want to definitely sow for the cooler season. Sprinkle it around like Salt Bay. Just moisten that as well. A good thing about having these trays that don't have holes in them is you can bottom water. So you can just, it's just plastic, just fill some water in the bottom and then they can absorb the water from underneath rather than from the top, which is a good way to grow seedlings. And there you have it. So I could stick this in my greenhouse, or I could put my little mini greenhouse cover on top, open the little vents and stick it, probably not in full sun, otherwise it might just roast, but a nice brightly lit spot. If you don't have much room, you can put it on a windowsill, but I'll stick it in my greenhouse most likely. But yeah, that's my seed sowing. So if you've enjoyed that, make sure you give me a thumbs up and hit the subscribe button, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye.